President.
Good. Take a look. Start reporting it the right way.
President Biden talking up improving numbers on the economy and blaming the media for not getting the message across. With inflation dropping, consumer confidence is up to its highest level since 2021. But new polling finds many Americans still down on the economy, and Biden's Bidenomics brag is not helping. Let's bring in Executive Vice President at the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Brandon, thanks again for being here. Appreciate it. I want to start off with those poll numbers because they're not great. Let's pull up those poll numbers right now. The first poll number shows ultimately, have you been helped by President Biden's economic policies? Only 14% of those polled in our Fox News poll say that they have been helped. Another poll finds the condition of the economy. 78% of voters say that the condition of the economy is only fair or poor. There have been some positive economic headlines, Brandon, but at the end of the day, the people just aren't buying it. Why?
Well, I think fundamentally, Bidenomics is not about helping people, and that's reflected in the poll numbers there. It's about telling us what to do, what kind of car to drive, how to keep our home warm, what small businesses should do as they operate their businesses. So that's why his poll numbers are so lousy. He's trying to tell us what to do instead of actually trying to drive down inflation and trying to make our situation better. So even as we see those numbers start to turn around, and it's a great thing that they've started to turn around, we know that that's mostly attributable to what's happened by the Fed dropping rates rather than Bidenomics, which, if anything, has actually increased inflation. Certainly his initial bills, trillions and trillions of dollars pumped into the economy at the worst possible time, has made our lives worse. It's time that he recognizes what he's done and connects with the American people rather than just telling us that we're wrong or telling the media that we're wrong.
How much of this is the interest rates on things like auto loans and the home mortgage rate being as high as it is, the highest in a couple decades? That's really what people are feeling here. They're not able to buy new homes, not able to buy new cars. And if they are, they're feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, no doubt. You know, people are locked into their homes right now because there's such a huge disparity between where interest rates were 2 years ago and where interest rates are today. So people are staying in their homes. There's no inventory out there for people to purchase. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you're basically hosed. There's no inventory for you. And automobiles are a similar situation there. Huge disparities in interest rates. But inflation is not just limited to homes and things affected by interest rates, these big ticket items. We're seeing inflation across the board. And as people are celebrating Christmas now, they know Christmas dinner is more expensive. That Christmas tree that you purchase is more expensive. And pretty much all the presents under the tree are more expensive. Yes, we love seeing the positive news. Inflation starting to turn around and even a little bit of deflation. But we've got a long way to go to get back to where we were back before the pandemic when things were actually affordable.
You wrote in a recent op-ed for Fox Digital, you wrote this, quote, "The president ought to work with Congress to reduce spending through the appropriations process, just as a family would reduce spending on non-essential items during lean times. The federal government needs to trim down the monstrous budget. Next, inflation can be tackled through better tax policy that encourages economic growth. This boils down to simple supply and demand economics, which tells us that if you make more stuff or increase supply, prices will fall." Can you explain that even further, especially on the tax policy front, what you think this administration should do?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes down to basic economics, if you have prices that are too high, you can either reduce demand, and that's effectively what the Fed has done with higher rates. When people have less money, they spend less, and that causes prices to drop. The other way that you can reduce prices is by increasing supply, making more stuff. And when it comes to tax policy, there were a lot of really good provisions in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, the so-called Trump tax cuts, that encouraged companies to grow, to invest more in the U.S. economy in terms of manufacturing capacity, building new factories, buying more machinery. But unfortunately, those provisions have started to phase out. So if we put them back on the books, we'll start to see more production, more growth in terms of output. And when we make more stuff, when we produce more stuff, prices will fall, and they'll fall with a lot fewer side effects, harmful side effects that we're seeing with the Fed. Like we talked about, the real estate market is a complete mess. It's very, very expensive to borrow money. That hurts average Americans. It hurts small businesses that are oftentimes trying to finance their operations with lending. So it's really a huge hit across the economy. Yes, we're seeing lower inflation, but we are starting to also experience those harmful side effects of high inflation rates.
And quickly,
interest rates.
Right. And quickly, Brendan, not a lot of time here, but in terms of the interest rates, the Fed signaling that they're going to probably do maybe 3 cuts next year. Are you buying what the Fed is saying here or signaling?
Well, they have to. You know, we've seen Americans leverage their credit cards like never before. $1 trillion collectively on our credit cards. Most of that debt is financed through variable interest rates. So when those interest rates go up, it becomes harder and harder to stay afloat. Dropping those rates down is going to give American families a little bit of breathing room as they work to rebuild their personal finances, paying down that debt, building up savings, and getting to a more comfortable place where they're more financially secure.
Well, the Dow reaching a historic high. The markets are certainly feeling bullish about next year. We shall see. Brandon Arnold, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissing reports the U.S. is pressuring him on how to conduct the war on Hamas as the fighting takes no holiday break. A live report from Israel next.